In Wauchula, Florida, there is a river that supposedly runs red with blood on the night of the full moon. It is colloquially known as Bloody Bucket River and lies just off Route 64. Prior to the construction of the interstate, this street was known as Reinhardt Pass. Maps dating to the early 1900s confirm that this road's dark history stretches as far back as Wauchula residents claim. While experts have not officially clarified why Bloody Bucket River takes on a red hue on certain nights, locals offer a dark explanation. They claim a formerly enslaved woman settled in Wauchula with her husband many years ago. While prospects for ex-slaves were not good, especially in the South, she found reliable work as a midwife. This is where the story takes an insidious turn. The woman is said to have abused the trust that her patients placed in her as a midwife, to smother their newborn children. If one asks the townsfolk of Wauchula why she did this, the answer will likely vary. Some believe this was the woman's twisted way of helping impoverished families. They think she was trying to relieve the burdensome task of feeding yet another mouth by smothering the newborn babies. Others believe that she did this out of spite. Many claim that she was either infertile or that her children had been forcibly separated from her while enslaved, so she took the joy of motherhood away from others. Whatever the reason, the people of Wauchula eventually realized her nefarious actions. While they could never implicate her in infanticide, no one would hire her as a midwife due to her unnaturally high fatality rate. Out of work, it is said that the rest of this woman's life was plagued by darkness. The souls of the babies she had taken from this earth returned to haunt her. Night after night, the woman would lie awake next to her tools, previously utilized in her career as a midwife. The bucket she'd used to carry water would slowly fill with blood, the blood of her innocent victims. When it became full, the woman would race to the river in the dead of night to drain the evidence, only for the blood to once again inexplicably reappear. This cycle continued for many years until the woman's hair faded to gray and her footing became increasingly unsteady. One night, when she went to empty the bucket, she slipped and fell into the river. After she drowned, the river was said to have run scarlet red for days after. This is how the river earned its name as the Bloody Bucket River. While some have theorized that the red quality that the river adopts on certain nights could stem from the tannic acid released by trees in the surrounding area, many believe that the color is too deep to have been caused by anything but blood. Additionally, some witnesses have claimed to have heard the haunting cry of babies when visiting this location. The city of Tampa has a storied past, dating back to its official establishment in 1855. From skyscrapers to palm trees, this coastal metropolis experiences no shortage of exciting landmarks. This includes the iconic Tampa Theater. It was constructed several decades after the turn of the century and has hosted a myriad of shows ranging from big-screen movies to live musical performances. The architecture is renowned for its originality and beauty, attracting guests from far around. As it has been a fixture in the community for so long, some residents claim that the Tampa Theater possesses some patrons who have remained dedicated, even in death. A multitude of friendly spirits is said to inhabit the theater. They range from former workers to patrons. One of these spirits is believed to be the theater's projectionist, Fink Finley. He worked at the Tampa Theater during the 1960s. During this period, the theater industry was at its peak. It wouldn't be until the 70s that home television would shake the market. Unfortunately, Fink Finley would not be around to witness this cultural shift, or at least his physical form would not, as he suffered from a heart attack while screening a movie and later passed away. His spirit continues to roam the premises, and there is even a photograph of a ghostly apparition sitting in his projection booth. Aside from Fink, another spirit that guests commonly report encounters with is the Lady in White. Her actual name is unknown, but she dresses in a flowing white gown. The lady is frequently spotted hovering above the balcony, aimlessly drifting from seat to seat. Many believe that she is a former patron of the Tampa Theater, as she's often said to be serenely gazing at the screen, watching the selected movie with a peaceful smile. Additionally, this spirit is considered shy, as she vanishes as soon as she notices someone has seen her. A particular seat within the theater is reportedly haunted. Donning a fedora and clothes that seem to be from the late 1920s, a patron from the Tampa Theater's oldest guest book makes frequent returns. Numerous people have reported seeing him sitting in seat 308, despite the theater being closed or otherwise unavailable to the public. It is unknown why the spirit prefers this particular seat. Alongside the friendlier haunts, a more tragic spirit is also said to roam the Tampa Theater. Robert Lanier was a ticket taker in the 1950s. Unfortunately, he met his demise one cold night in the booth. Someone had snuck in and bashed his head in from behind. Police did not find his corpse until the next day, and his murderer was never apprehended. Many claim that Robert's spirit vigilantly watches over the theater, awaiting the return of his killer. The Tampa Theater is allegedly home to a multitude of spirits, and if one desires to investigate these claims, they can easily book a showing. Better yet, for a more supernatural experience, ghost tours are also available. The St. Augustine Lighthouse Tower predates the Civil War. It was initially erected and utilized by Spanish settlers as a watchtower, but it was not until 1871 that the United States officially began using the structure. Due to erosion and water damage, it had to undergo significant reconstruction, and Hezekiah Pitty, the superintendent of lighthouse construction, relocated from Maine to Florida to ensure the St. Augustine Lighthouse was built to code. With him, he brought his wife and 3 young children. Hezekiah's daughters, Mary, Eliza, and Carrie, ranged from ages 15 to 4. One of their favorite things to do while their father constructed the lighthouse was to play on the railway cart used to transport construction materials from the port to the building site. This effectively functioned as a Victorian-era roller coaster, reaching dangerously high speeds comparable to modern-day rides. Extra peril was factored in when one considered the height of this rickety machine, along with the fact that it overlooked the ocean below, with only a flimsy piece of wood preventing the girls from falling. On July 10, 1873, tragedy struck. Along with an unnamed 10-year-old African-American girl, the Pitty sisters were playing upon the railway as usual. Unfortunately, on this day, a worker had removed the board that prevented the cart from tumbling into the water. The girls were unaware of this, and as they reached the end of the track, the cart plummeted. As it fell, the cart flipped, trapping the 4 girls beneath the metal as it sunk to the ocean's floor. A young worker positioned nearby had witnessed this happen, and he immediately ran to the scene. He struggled against the weight of the cart, trying to lift it with all of his might, but it was too heavy. By the time he could remove it, all 3 older girls had drowned, and the only survivor was young Carrie. Nearly 150 years have passed since this tragedy occurred, but the legend of the Pitty sisters lives on. Many believe these 3 girls chose to stay within their beloved lighthouse, even after death, and enjoy playing mischievous pranks on those who visited just as they had in life. When American lighthouses required a live-in attendant, those assigned to the St. Augustine Lighthouse would often report borderline malicious behavior attributed to these young spirits. One worker recounted the terror he felt when he woke up to the distorted shadow of a young girl looming over his bed. Another was so disturbed by the alleged supernatural occurrences that he abandoned his provided living quarters in favor of paying to live elsewhere. Other guests tell of more light-hearted shenanigans perpetuated by these supposed spirits. One woman taking a tour of the lighthouse was standing near the bottom of the staircase when she noticed her shoelaces had been inexplicably tied to the railing. Another guest was using an EMF detector in the basement. She claimed the detector suddenly spiked after asking the children if they wanted to play hide and seek with her. She scoured the cellar until she found another spot that caused the detector to fluctuate rapidly. Witnesses claim that these spirits are incredibly active and enjoy engaging with visitors.